Hello and welcome to Safe Schools. I'm Curtis Graves.
And I'm Andy Howard.
Andy, great show we're about to have. It's always great when we can bring information to the public that I think they need to know, and that's about consequences, choices, the law.
Well, I'm excited about today's show. I consider our guest a friend to the show. Been willing to come and support us despite that very busy schedule.
Every year.
And it's every time we've talked, it has been wonderful because enlightening our community and serving our community is what this guest is all about. I look forward to today's show.
I'm sure everybody's wondering who we have today, but we're going to wait until we come back and introduce her. So we'll be right back.
I'm Ashley Rich, District Attorney. Today I want to talk to you about a program that we at the District Attorney's Office has with the Mobile County Public School Systems to help with the bullying issues that are going on in today's world because of social media and because our young people think it's okay to bully others. It's not okay to bully others. Bullying is repeated verbal and physical abuse, ongoing verbal and physical abuse. We at the Mobile County District Attorney's Office want to help the community, we want to help the public school system, and we want to stop bullying within our community. It's really, really important that we do so. And parents need to be responsible if their child is either being bullied or if their child is a bully. Parents need to be involved to stop the bullying or to help the child if they are being bullied. And we at the Mobile County District Attorney's Office and the Mobile County Public School System are also here to help.
At Mobile County Public Schools, we believe it starts with us. That's why we offer Signature Academies.
I'm Tracy Tran, and I'm in the Healthcare and Dental Academy at Theodore High School. In the Dental Academy, I'm working alongside dental professionals getting hands-on training from those already working in the industry. Shadowing them on the job makes me want to work even harder because now I know what I want to be.
Signature Academies are open to all students in Mobile County Public High Schools. To find out more, visit mcpss.com.
And welcome back to Safe Schools. Our guest today, folks, is Ashley Rich, the District Attorney of Mobile.
Welcome.
County.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Oh,
Thank
definitely.
you for visiting with us. Thank you for being a friend to the show.
Sure.
In the several occasions that we have talked, I have a question that just comes to mind, and I just want to pose it. Why, Ashley, did you decide to become the District Attorney of Mobile County?
Well, I'll tell you. First of all, I think it's important for everybody who's watching this to know that I graduated from Davidson High School here in Mobile County.
Go Warriors.
Yeah, go Warriors. And I went to college and then I went to law school. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't planning on being in public service. I wasn't planning on being the DA. That was not the plan. But mm-hmm. when I was clerking for one of our judges down at the courthouse, mm-hmm. I saw what a prosecutor does. And I saw that they were representing victims of crime who could not represent themselves. Mm-hmm. And they were doing a good and honorable thing, helping people every single day that have been a victim of crime. And I just knew that was something that I had to start doing. And even then I thought, well, I'll just do this for a couple of years. But it was so incredibly rewarding to be able to help people who came to the courthouse, generally under the worst of circumstances, after they had been a victim of a crime, and to help them and to be able to help them through the justice system and get justice for them by putting the person who harmed them or their family member in jail and getting justice.
Yeah, there's no greater service than to serve others.
That's right.
I think it's one of the most rewarding things you can do.
And when things get tough, now that I'm the elected and I have all the other responsibilities of running an office of 80 plus employees and making sure that we're doing the right thing for the right reasons every day, when things get tough, I always have to come back full circle to why I became a prosecutor in the first place. And that's because we help people every day, and that's so important to have people like us in our community who are willing to help people when they can't help themselves.
Absolutely.
Ashley, you've been doing this for a long time.
22 years.
22 years, wow. And I've known you since that time. Mm-hmm. Homicide cases, all these different cases you've worked. Do you get tired?
Sure, you get tired, but you always have to remember that there's always going to be a new victim. There's always going to be somebody else to help. And you just have to keep going. You just have to persevere, and you have to know that in the end of the day, that you get to go home knowing that you did something to help somebody else.
Well, you're working in your purpose. And I think one of the things that is near and dear to all of us, especially you being our DA, is victims' rights, as well as making sure people understand, especially our young people understand repercussions and consequences to committing crimes.
You know, I was at BC Rain this week giving a speech because it was anti-bullying week, and a young lady came up to me and she was just thanking me for what I did. And she was a high school student, and that was incredibly rewarding to have someone that was in high school thanking me because I had helped her and her family in some way. And she just wanted to come and say thank you. And that was an awesome feeling to be able to help someone.
Have someone say that to you to appreciate it. You know, we do it not asking for that reward or that acknowledgement, but.
And to be able to help a young person, because too often I see young people getting into a life of crime, and being able to help someone who has been a victim of a crime and help them get their life, you know, on the right path was wonderful to hear from her.
You know, young folks, most of them do the right thing, have the right motivation, and stay the course. Some of them, somewhere along the way, get lost. I don't know that they know what difference they cause when they do the wrong thing and cause harm to other people.
Well, you know, I think there's so much on television these days. You see so many murders and people getting killed, and there's so many video games, and everybody's killing everybody in these video games. I think that's almost dumbed down violent crime, in that we've got to remember, and young people have to remember especially, just because they may have seen it on a video or a movie or something like that, if they choose to engage in that behavior, that's adult behavior, and it is causing harm to someone, and it's hurting someone. In some cases, it's killing someone, taking someone's life, and the repercussions of that are things that they will have to live with and deal with every single day for the rest of their life.
Right.
And that behavior, that criminal activity, is just not worth it. It's not worth the pain and suffering it causes to all of the victims, but also it's not worth the pain and suffering it causes to the young person who's ruined their life because they committed a violent crime.
So everybody loses.
Everybody loses.
Actually, do you think that environmental conformity, people conforming to the environment they're in, whether it's in their home or outside in their environment, is playing a big role in some of the things that we're seeing out of the behavior of young people as it relates to crime?
It's tough. It is tough to be a young person in this day and age. And yes, I see environment playing a factor in that. But I also see the fact that it's just tough to be a young person. It's tough. And it's tough to be a nonconformist. But you've got to be a nonconformist. If somebody's trying to get you to do something wrong or to break the law, you've got to you've got to stand up for yourself and stand up for those that you believe in and that believe in you, and say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to engage in that behavior because that's going to get me in trouble. I'm just not going to do it.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to dive into some of those concerns. Okay. We'll be right back.
As a student in the Mobile County Public Schools, there are a few things I've come to expect. One is a quality education, and the other is a quality lunch. Not only are our school meals well balanced, meeting all federal nutritional standards, but they also have less fat, fewer calories, and they taste really good. Oh, and I forgot to mention, our school lunches contain whole wheat, grains, fruits, and vegetables to give me the energy and brain power to get me through the day.
I believe my child's school is probably one of the best ones I could have picked in Mobile. She's in the PACE program. The teachers are phenomenal. The principal, couldn't ask for a better principal. The research that I had done myself, I believe the quality of education in Mobile County Public School System is excellent. For me and my child, I'm going to stick with the public school system. I think it's the way to go.
And we're back. Ashley, you know, you were talking about what happens when bad things occur and bad decisions are made, consequences. What circumstance does a young person find themselves when they make these adult decisions facing adult consequences?
You know, I think there's a misnomer by young people that if they commit a crime and they're under the age of 18, all that's going to happen to them is they're just going to go to Strickland Youth Center and get a slap on the hand. And that is a misnomer. That is not true. That is not what happens.
Okay.
If a young person between the ages of 14 and 18 commits a crime, first of all, if they're 16 or 17 and it's a Class A felony or it involves a weapon, they're automatically sent to adult jail and adult court, even at 16 and 17 years old if they commit a Class A felony or a felony with a weapon. And most young people don't understand that. They do not realize that when they choose to put a gun in their hands and commit a crime with a gun, at 16 and 17 years old, most of them still in high school, they're going down to adult jail.
So
I call it big boy jail.
They're going to be in an adult jail. They're going to face an adult court, and when found guilty, find
going to
themselves
prison.
in adult prison.
That's exactly right. Because you forgot one thing. They're committing crimes that are conduct, doesn't matter your age, they're acting like adults. And they know the consequences. The other thing is real important. If they're between the ages of 14 and 16, okay, and they commit a Class A felony, all right,
Okay.
or a felony with involving a weapon, we can transfer them. We can move to transfer them to adult court, and they have to have a hearing in juvenile court. And if we present enough facts to the judge, he can transfer them to adult court. So an example would be a young man here in this community named Miles Montgomery, who was 14 years old, and he committed a murder in his neighborhood. He shot a man at point blank range between the eyes after he had robbed his house in his own neighborhood. And Miles Montgomery was transferred to adult court at 14 years old, and he's in prison for life, the rest of his life. And I prosecuted that case, and that was one of the toughest cases I had ever had to prosecute because he was 14. But you know what? He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew the consequences of the behaviors that he was engaging in, and he shot a man in cold blood.
So no matter if you're old enough to make those kinds of decisions, you're old enough to pay the price.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. You know, so many people don't understand, and you said earlier that a lot of young people don't know, but a lot of adults don't know.
No, they
You
don't.
know, they find out after the fact, and that's not the time to know. And law enforcement's not about a gotcha moment. We don't want to get you. We want you
No.
not to do it.
No.
So we want you to know this stuff so that you can make better decisions.
And I think it's important that everybody understands, both the police department and the DA's office, we have programs where we intervene with at-risk youth in our schools at a middle school level, sometimes at an elementary school level.
Yes.
Why are we involved? People say, Ashley, you know, why is the DA's involved in trying to help kids? You know why? Because one of the prongs of our mission statement at the DA's office, first and foremost, our job is to vigorously prosecute crime. And second, it's to deliver justice to victims. But third, it's to aggressively work to prevent crime from happening in the first place. And that's why we're in our schools. That's why I have the Youth and Family Services program. That's why I personally take time out of my day. I was at 4 schools last week, personally talking to students, because I want to make sure that I don't ever see students. I don't want to see students. Every time I see a young person that we've had to transfer from adult court, it breaks my heart. I'm a mother. I'm a compassionate person, and I don't want to have to prosecute another. If I never prosecute another 14-year-old child like Miles Montgomery, I'll be happy.
That's a win.
You know, I always tell people we can't arrest our way out of the problem that we're dealing with in society, and we would love and invite the opportunity to actually educate people on the areas of prevention and intervention so that we can actually house those who should be locked up and
That's what we're
have
doing
them
right
there
now.
for a very long time.
That's right.
Right.
And that's what we're doing right now. You know, I think a goal we all 3 of us have today is to just make sure people understand what the law is. And young people especially understand what the law is, because I don't want them to have a misnomer or a false belief that if they commit a crime, they're just going to go to juvenile and the maximum punishment would be 3 years.
Making
That's just not the
decisions
case.
based on false information
That's
and
right.
inaccurate perspective. You know, I was a lifeguard as a kid in college, and I found out that if I taught kids how to swim, I made my job easier because I wasn't pulling people out of the water.
That's right. That's exactly what we're talking about.
So,
Exactly.
you know, the idea that we can impact and influence people, you got bully blocker, you got victims impact. We're parents, the three of us. And what we find is we're going to spend our resources on something for our kids. Court costs, funerals, bail, trips up to the jail.
When I talk to parents, I often tell them, and when I talk to students, if you get arrested, there's going to be consequences no matter what. You're going to have to post a bond, you're going to have to hire a lawyer, you're going to have to be adjudicated, you're going to have to go to court many times, you're going to get fines, fees, and court costs, and jail time, okay, potential jail time. The total cost of just even a misdemeanor, like a minor in possession of alcohol case, the total cost for that typically sometimes runs up to $5,000. That's $5,000 their parents could have put towards buying them a car.
Right.
Okay?
That's right.
I mean, you know, most kids would love $5,000 to go towards a car.
That's right.
But instead, one bad decision, they're spending $5,000 on the justice
So
system.
if I got to put some resources into my kid, where do I choose or prefer them to go? I'm going to put resources into them. Should it be to a productive outcome, a benefit?
Right. That's right.
You know, safety is our primary concern, improving safety, and oftentimes people expect for law enforcement, whether it's the DA's office or the police department, to respond to all of these things, and we do a great job. We try to do a great job in doing that, whether it's prevention and intervention or whether it is responding to a situation after it's occurred. But how important is it for our citizens to understand that they have a role to play in helping us create a safer community?
You know, that's one of the reasons why I think we've seen an increase in juvenile violent crime, is because we have parents who are not involved in their kids' lives. And it is so important that they are involved in their kids' lives. Even if you go to Burger King and buy a $5 meal, but you get to your dinner table and you all sit around and eat the Burger King together and talk about life events and things like what we're talking about right now, you've got to do that as a family. Even if you only have one parent, your parent has got to make time. The parent is responsible,
right.
And the parent has to make time to educate the young people, to educate the people in their household, to talk to them, to love on them and hug on them, of course, and to get them to school, but mainly to have conversations just like what we're having around a table, so that the kids understand, you know, what's right, what's wrong, and how they need to act. Because we're seeing, especially in the school system, we have a lot of young people that come in that don't get the parenting and the nurturing and the education that they need at home.
That's
And
an
we can't
important
do it
point.
all for them.
That's right. We can talk about this all day, but we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back to the question of parent responsibility. Be right back.
Hello, my name is Teresa Montgomery, and I'm here to give you a few facts about food allergies. Research says that 15 million Americans have food allergies. Did you know that roughly 30,000 Americans go to the emergency room each year due to food allergies? Food allergies affects 1 in every 13 children in the United States. The economic cost of children's food allergies is roughly $25 billion per year. If you want to know more facts about food allergies, you can visit www.foodallergies.org.
And we're back. During the break, we were talking a little bit about children, young people who oftentimes don't have the proper parental influence in their life, making some of the most horrible choices they could actually make in their lives that don't just affect them but affect other people. What can you add to that, Ashley?
Two things. I think the message to young people, if you don't have parental guidance in your own home, find a mentor. Find somebody, whether it's a coach, whether it's the librarian, whether it's somebody that even if you don't go to church, somebody you know that goes to church, somebody in your neighborhood, an older person. If you just find a mentor, somebody that you can reach out to and say, you know what, I need some help, I need some guidance. That is so very important. You know, one of the things that I volunteer my time with, even as little time as I have, is I'm a mentor with the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and I actually go into the school and mentor a little. And I've done that for almost 8 years now. And every adult, this is the message that I would say to the adult, every adult, you have something to offer to a young person who may not have a parent or parents that give them the guidance and the help that they need within their own home. But if you have those skills to offer, which most people do, mentor a young person.
Those of us who have received ought give back.
To those who receive much, much is ask of them. And you know, that's just what we're trying to do. And nobody's too busy. I'm the perfect example. Nobody is too busy to take a couple of hours a week to try and mentor a child, to get a child on the right track.
Yeah, one of the things people need to understand more than anything is that crime doesn't happen in a bubble. And the devastation that is felt from someone who is a victim of a crime, and the people who are indirectly also traumatized by that, continues on during the path of that person's life. I think not enough is said about that.
You know, let me interrupt you for just a second. So a young person has a beef with another young person. He pulls out a weapon, he shoots that young person. Okay? He may be mad at that young person. That's no excuse. It's a crime. This person's going to be prosecuted, no doubt. But not only did he hurt or kill this particular victim, he hurt every single person in that victim's family. He hurt the neighborhood. He hurt the sanctity of the neighborhood. He hurt the good citizens that are still in that community, trying to make the community a better place. It just resonates in the community
And
when
his own
somebody
family.
is a victim of a crime, not only in his own community, but in the community, just through the church, through any involvement that particular victim had.
And we now know that those are traumas that affect people indirectly, whether it is a 60-year-old or living in their home and they're exposed to gunfire outside of their home, and now they're afraid to leave their home. Those are concerns that we're now realizing that we have to do a better job as a community to police those things that we can by reporting things when they happen.
And you know, that's just a whole nother topic in and of itself. I've seen certainly in my career at the DA's office, less people each year willing to come forward and give us information to the police department, to the DA's office, because they want to look the other way and not get involved. But that is absolutely the worst thing that we can do as a community, because we need people who see things to come forward and give us information, because we need to make the problem better. We need an opportunity. The police department, the DA's office, law enforcement in general needs an opportunity to make the community better and to make it safer. And we can't do that if we don't have people willing to come forward and talk to us.
It's just simply see something, say something. Now, parents who, we traditionally think parents encourage their children or should encourage their children to do the right things. We got this other dynamic out here. When a parent encourages their child to do the wrong thing, not only does that child have an issue, that parent too has an issue.
And I think what we're going to see is that we are going to be looking at the parents and their involvement and their activity every single time something like this happens. So parents need to be warned as well. If you're going to encourage or enable or engage, assist your child in committing a crime, then you can be held responsible for that as well. And I don't think parents really understand that, and that needs to be said.
Right.
Absolutely. I just think it's important that parents understand that they are responsible for not only what their children say and do, but what they say and do to their children. Are they helping their child to be okay? Are they causing harm to themselves and their communities?
And you know, I think if the parents would just stop and think about what are my actions saying to my child? What are my actions saying to my child? They
how
might
I
understand
conduct
it.
myself and
They
how I
might
encourage my
understand it.
children to conduct themselves.
That's right.
Because not only is it an issue of what I say, it's also an issue of what I do. If I say the right thing but do the wrong thing, what are my children getting out of that?
Right.
That's right.
We want, I believe, Ashley, to communicate the message to our larger community about the trends. Which way do you think we're trending, and what can we do as a larger community about the trend? I hear a lot of people say it's not going in a good direction, you know, in terms of the aggression that we hear out there all of the time and the violence that we hear, you know, in every venue.
I say it all the time. In my opinion, our crimes are becoming more violent and our criminals are becoming younger. And that is something that is extremely disturbing. And it is something that until we as a community grasp that, realize it, and all try to make a difference in that, we're going to have an uphill battle. But if everybody would engage and everybody would try to become involved in reversing that trend, we would be a better, much better place.
You know, there's been a lot said in this short talk about crime and consequences, but we hope that those who are listening will take this conversation further to their kitchen tables. But we're out of time, but we want to thank you for taking time out to come out here and to share this information that is never too old. And I think that more people who pause long enough to understand how their behavior impacts the choices of their children understand there are also consequences to those choices. So thank you again for
Thank you for
coming out to
having me.
Safe
It's my
Schools.
pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Ashley.
It's been Safe Schools.